going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lounge Life Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Big Al, and with me is also Rob.
What's going on, guys?
And we got some really cool stuff today. We've got a really special guest that's got a really cool story. But first, um, let's roll into the rapper report. So, Rob, what have you got news-wise this week?
As you know, I came back from PCA. Um, it was overwhelming. I don't want to share too much about PCA here, because we're doing a whole special about PCA and what I saw and what I learned and stuff like that. But what I heard news-wise is coming from PCA. Um, Arturo Fuente is going to be extremely busy this year. Um, so both of my one news story is basically Fuente stays busy. So for first, Fuente is releasing their Don Carlos is turning 90. So it's to celebrate the 90th birthday. And it's actually a pretty interesting cigar. So basically what it's gonna do, um, it's gonna be a regular Don Carlos. So Don Carlos is a Fuente with a Cameroon wrapper, basically. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna put a second wrapper over top of it, not in like a barber pole, but it's gonna be a made cigar. It's gonna be put in an aging room. It's gonna be taken out. It's gonna have a Corojo wrapper put over top of the Cameroon wrapper, and then they're gonna sit it for another year. It's been sitting for another year. Um, and I mean, the thing sounds amazing. It's like I said, it's got standard Don Carlos, Dominican fillers, Dominican binders. It's gonna be a 5 3/4 by 47 Robusto. Um, and the MSRP again, Arturo Fuente or Carlito said that he wanted everybody to be able to experience this cigar. This is not going to be a super. I mean, it's a special cigar, but the MSRP is going to be about $13, and they come in boxes of 90. So, I mean, you're going to have a
Wow.
pretty hefty price tag on them. Um, and they hope to have it released by early summer. My second little thing to go along with that is Fuente also plans on releasing, which I saw at the PCA show, a new cigar called the Sangre del Toro. Now, in Spanish, that means bull's blood. Um, so Puente is kind of keeping this really under wraps. There really wasn't a ton of information. The cigar is beautiful. It's a Maduro. Um, and I actually talked to Carlito himself while I was at the PCA show. Fantastic guy. And he told me this is the first time in over 40 years that Arturo Fuente has used a Mexican San Andreas wrapper on a cigar. So, what he specified was they used to put MSA wrappers on their Maduros back in the 80s, and then they stopped doing that. So, this is going to be the first time in over 40 years that they're using an MSA wrapper um, in a cigar. Um, so, two sizes are expected to arrive late this summer. There really is no word on pricing. There really is no word on what the blend is at all. All we have is a obviously Dominican binder, Dominican filler, and MSA wrapper. Um, Releasing late summer. That's pretty much it. So, like I said, Fuente had an amazing booth at PCA. They showed off some amazing products, and like I said, I can't wait to see what these things are going to taste like.
Nice. Nice. Well, I have um, a story that uh, from a company we just recently did a review on. Uh, Hiram and Solomon, a company that you're very familiar with there, Rob,
Mm.
is teaming up with Les Fines Lanes
So it's
for
Le Fin Lam.
Okay. I apologize. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
worries. It's Trust
You've
me.
got me you've got me on the pronunciation train.
It's
So
it's Le Fin Lam. It's French.
ah so they're teaming up for a 10th anniversary limited edition petite cigar knife.
Hmm.
Um and it's rooted in shared values and a deep connection to the cigar community. So the knife features Hiram and Solomon's branding as well as some Masonic symbolism.
Yep.
Um, um, did they have that at PCA?
They did. They had a picture of the box. They had the box is going to be just a. There's only going to be 25 boxes made that are going to
Mhm.
have 10 Ashlar cigars, which is the 10th anniversary cigar,
Mhm.
plus the Le Fin Lam Le Petit cigar knife in the box with it.
Absolutely. So, um, and they are only making 100 knives, and the MSRP is 225. So
Sounds
I'm
about right.
I'm assuming that's the cigars and the knife, or
Oh no, that's just the
that's just the
knife.
knife. Okay.
That's
Uh,
just
I
the
can,
knife.
I can see that. That doesn't sound, it's a little expensive for my taste, but for something special like that, a 10th anniversary, um, I can see that. And it'll be available through Hiram and Solomon, or I've already forgotten how to say it again, but
Le Fin Lam.
Lafinlam's
There you go.
distribution networks. So, and two, I just had another little quick snippet of Crux Cigar Company is having a relaunch this summer of the Passport. Um, it's going to have an Ecuadorian wrapper, um, Nicaraguan binder, and Honduran and Nicaraguan filler. Um, it will be available in three sizes: the Super Selection number 1, which is the 6 by 42, Super Selection number 2, 5.5 by 46, and a Super Selection number 3, 6.25 by 48. So
Nice.
they originally launched it in 2014. They since had a rebranding, and the passport hasn't been produced since the rebranding. So, um, and they actually had another release, or um, that was set just for PCA, and it's called the Marblehead. But I didn't write much about that. So that that takes care of the wrapper report, and it's brought to you by Valor Cigar Accessories.
Fantastic, guys. Honestly, and I say it every time, I just love it. They're built like a tank. I mean, this thing is heavy, it's sharp, it's made in America, and uh, honestly, when you buy it, it goes to a good cause. 10% of all the profits that they have goes back into veteran and first responder charities. So go check them out. They're on our link tree. Go buy some stuff. They have sales all the time. So go check them out. They have cutters. They just came out with their cigar cases. Um, so
They've
um,
just also introduced their V cutters.
yeah, they just
Um,
introduced their V cuts, and
so
hopefully we get our hands on those soon. Um, so, yeah, what do we got next?
well, that brings us to what's in the ashtray. So, Rob, what have you had that's kind of stood out to you? I know with PCA, you had a lot to
Oh
choose from.
gosh, I had a lot to choose from because of PCA. One of the things, a good friends of mine, Billy and Gus from Artisano del Tobacco, I got to hang out with them pretty much all weekend. Great guys. They are the CEO owners of a company called Viva La Vida. Um, and I mean Artesano del Tobacco, which makes Viva La Vida and El Pulpo. And so during the show, they debuted their new cigar coming out with Viva La Vida. It's a Connecticut, and it's a really nice, gorgeous um, Connecticut. It's obviously all of their stuff is rolled in AJ's factory. So it's an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper, and it's got Nika binder and filler. So I mean, like it's a classic AJ spice profile.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a really um, mild plus, medium minus, even to start out with, and it climbs into a medium to medium plus. Great cigar. I think it's one of the best Connecticut's I've ever had. Um, it's fantastic. It's AJ, so AJ, the stuff is good. Thank God they got most of their stuff out before the fire.
Yeah,
So there is product currently hitting shelves. My local uh, my local place has them on the shelf right now, both sizes, the Robusto and the Toro. Um, and if you find them, pick them up. You're not going to be disappointed. Fantastic, fantastic Connecticut cigar.
nice. Well, I've had one that we talked about on our budget stick episode, and it's a little on the lighter side. Was the Punch Knuckle Buster Shade,
Okay.
and it's an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper, Mexican binder with Colombian, Dominican olor,
Yeah. Yeah. Olor.
um, Nicaraguan jalapa, and broadleaf filler. So
Hmm.
while it wasn't, really strong and full bodied, punch you in your face, it still had a lot of really interesting flavor notes, and
Yeah.
it was still really interesting. So I just really enjoyed that, and with an MSRP of under $8, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Not bad.
So, and what's in the ashtray is brought to you by Bullets and Brave Cigar Accessories. They make these cool stamped metal stands. They can be customized with your logo. He also has some limited drops this year. So check in his Etsy store. The link is also available on our link tree in our
Hmm.
bio. He's sent us some really awesome hats and some really nice cups. And again, another American company putting out some really awesome products. So get at him. He can take care of you too.
All right.
So
Now that brings us to the main event.
yes, we have uh, the Ramos brothers, Rue and Pedro, that are with Haze Gray Cigar Company with War Dogs Cigars and War Dogs Mobile Cigar Lounge.
All
So
right.
let's bring them in. What's going
What's
on,
up?
fellas?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us tonight. I supremely appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to kind of talk with us, talk to our fans about your cigars. Um, One of the things we like to do, me and Al, we love to support veterans and things that support veterans. Because we both have veteran blood that runs in our families, and so I just, thank you for everything you guys do. So please, uh, Al's got some questions for you. We're going to sit here, we're going to enjoy cigars, and we're going to chop it up a little bit. So we're looking forward to hearing about your story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Thanks for having us.
So, guys, what kind of brought you into the cigar space? I mean, I know, Rue, I believe you're a serviceman, uh, and so I just we appreciate your service, and just curious how you got to cigars.
Yeah, no, thanks. It was an honor serving our nation. It's just something that I'm really proud of, and uh, it was a great time. Made a lot of brothers for life, and that's who really got me started in smoking cigars. So in '96, when I joined the Navy, fresh out of boot camp, went down to the Navy Exchange and picked up a cigar and just started smoking. And that was the first time I ever smoked anything. So I got hooked. I
Gotcha.
got bitten with the bug, and it was about I'd say about 2 years ago or so. I was on a cruise and was just sitting there smoking a cigar and just kind of I've dabbled with cigars and dissected cigars and try to learn as much as you can.
Mhm.
YouTube's your friend, and so is Google.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
The rest of the cruise that I was on was just trying to figure out how I could start my own cigar brand and how
Wow.
to even get going. And so it was an experience. And then about a year ago, April 1st, we launched. But before that, we linked up with who's our mentor, one of our mentors now, and he got me with a couple of rollers, taught me how to roll, educated me on making a true blend. We had ideas of what we wanted and what we wanted the cigars to taste like and the notes. So we worked together and brainstormed together, and here we are.
Nice.
Very, very nice. And so I noticed that a couple of your cigars have dates as their name.
I was going to
Um,
ask that.
so Rob um, is smoking the 1982,
Yep. The year I
and
was born. The year I was born. So I was naturally. I am. Yeah. I'm an old guy. Kind of an old guy, maybe. But I was wondering where 1982 came from.
Yeah. So my brother Pedro, he joined. Back then it was War Dog Cigars. Uh, he used to come down to Florida every winter. We grew up an
Okay.
hour south of Boston, and so during Christmas time he'd come down, celebrate the holidays, and stay a few extra months, enjoy the weather. And when he left, February-ish, March, he's like, "Man, pull the trigger already. Time to get going. I'm going to be back. I'm going to go up north, sell my house. I'm going to be back, and you better have this thing rocking and rolling." So I was like, all right, no pressure, right? So he left. I started getting everything together, started getting my business license. But before all that, I already had some names picked out, right?
Okay.
So the 1982 is actually the year that we moved from Portugal to the United States. We moved to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And so, I figured this is a new chapter in our lives. This is a new beginning. Why not name one of the cigars after something that our parents offered us, which was the great American dream, right? Move to the United
Okay.
States. And that's where that name came from.
I like it. And then I heard you said something about the 1996. I know that's another one of your cigars, correct?
Yep. Yeah, and that's the year that I joined the Navy. January of '96, headed out to Great Lakes. A little crazy joining the Navy in the wintertime and going to boot camp in Great Lakes, but everybody loves a little punishment, I guess.
well, I did not serve, but I graduated high school in 1996, and the Navy recruiter was the only one that I went and talked to. So when they said that my ASVAB score was good enough to send me to nuke school, I was like, nah, nope, nope. I know what that means.
Straight up.
So, yep, there's no way I wanted to be in a tin can or a submarine. Um, so yeah, that was the end of that. So, and I'm smoking the Admiral tonight. Um, Now, I know one of your you've got a special cigar that you guys the Patriot. You want to tell everybody about the Patriot?
Yeah, sure. So the Patriot was our very last blend for the War Dog cigar line. And we wanted to make something special out of it. So my brother came up with the idea, and he was like, "Look, let's build a platform to help out the veteran community. We're all about vets helping vets. It's a brotherhood when you're in, and it's an even
Awesome.
bigger brotherhood when you get out. So
Yeah.
we teamed up with two nonprofit organizations that help veterans. One's Operation Zero; they're worldwide, and they help veterans with PTSD, and their main goal is really to stop veteran suicide. It's something hard, and it's something that it's going to be ongoing because a lot of our brothers and sisters are struggling. So we wanted to help as much as we could. And then here locally, we came across a nonprofit that's called Operation Tackle Box, and they take veterans that are suffering from PTSD or possibly lost an arm or a leg in combat, and they take them and kind of help them enjoy life again. They take them out fishing, hiking, ATV
awesome.
riding, hunting. Yeah, so it's a really great organization, and it's something that we wanted to team up with. So we named the cigar. The last blend we decided to come up with for the line was, it was a no-brainer calling it the Patriot.
Okay. Now,
Absolutely.
are you guys done expanding your line at this point, or do you have stuff still in the works?
Yeah, so we've already had a couple of phone conversations with a certain person that we look up to, and we think he's a phenomenal individual
Hmm.
who has been in the industry a long time, and he's already given us a thumbs up to sit down and kind of discuss and putting something together to start our second line.
Nice. Now, who's currently doing your rolling right now?
Yeah, so we roll, and then we have the gentleman that we met a while back, who's our mentor now.
Hmm.
He has about 5, 6 rollers that help us as well,
Okay.
that roll our cigars, and they're right here in the United States.
Oh, really? Where at?
They're out of Texas.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So
Nice, nice. Well, and to just diving into kind of your stuff, notice that you guys do special or do events and can actually roll on site.
yeah, yeah, we that's something we're really the only ones in the Panhandle of Florida right now that are doing what we're doing.
Hmm.
We're just looking at different revenues of income to come in and get this thing going. And so one of the things that our mentor told us was, hey, weddings are a killer. Everybody's trying to have cigar rollers at weddings.
Yeah,
So we took it one step further. We're doing weddings, corporate parties, grand openings of businesses, and things of that nature. And my brother came up with the idea of, if we're going to do this, let's do a mobile lounge, because really there was nobody here in the Panhandle
hmm,
doing that either. So he
Mhm.
took almost a whole summer just building out our mobile cigar lounge, and it's a hit. I mean,
that's
we're
awesome.
yeah. Just this past weekend alone, we did 3 events, starting on Friday and going all the way up until yesterday evening.
It seems to be that that's a big trend right now, is these mobile cigar lounges. I see them popping up everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
around me, even around me, I'm in New Jersey, and even around me in the county that I live in, and the county north and the county south, there's probably about 4 or 5 mobile cigar lounges, and that's not
Wow.
including the rest of the state. So
Right.
it's very competitive, and it's a super easy way to take your business to a location. You don't have to just you could have a mobile storefront.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And quite honestly, I feel like sometimes I'm cheating the system, right? Where our overhead's so low, just
Yeah.
having a mobile lounge, it's great.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I have a buddy of mine who does the same thing, except instead of a mobile cigar lounge, he just does local parties and local street fairs and stuff. His only overhead is the cigars that he pays for, you know, and
Yeah.
not having any overhead, electric, water, sewer, um, paying other people to work at shops. You don't have all that overhead. That's awesome.
Right.
Now, let's talk about this cigar for a second, because this is pretty fantastic. So I'm smoking the 1982. Um, it's your Connecticut Shade Blend, correct?
Correct.
Um, I like it because um, I you taste the notes. It's really nice. Um, I mean, a lot of the times if you don't do Connecticut's right, it has like that copper penny kind of flavor to it, like that you get that copper penny note, where usually that's like an unfermented or not fermented long enough um leaves. And you guys have done an amazing job with taking this cigar and just making a beautiful flavor notes out of it. I mean, it's creamy, it's got a lot of cedar wood to it. It has a lot of hay in it, just like it's like that classic um, Connecticut um, Connecticut cigar. When you were coming up with your cigars, um, was there anything specific in mind that you were looking for? Like you were like, okay, do we want to do the same thing that everybody else is doing? What was your plan of attack for coming into the market?
Yeah, when I first started smoking cigars, I started smoking a lot of the bigger brands, right?
Hmm.
And so that's where my palate really started. And when we were breaking out onto into the scene and coming up with our business, we wanted to be a little bit different, um,
Yeah,
old schoolish, I guess you could say.
yeah,
It's it we when we sat down with our mentor, he even asked us, he's like, "What do you want your cigars to taste like? Do you want to be like everyday Joe's, or do you want something special, something that would stand out?"
yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I want to stand out. I
Of
want to,
course.
be different, right?" And so he really educated us on, like you said, with the 82, the cedar notes, things of that nature. It's kind of to me, it's a little different. And
Definitely.
so we take pride in that, right? We've always been that way, even in our younger years. Always wanted to be
Hmm.
different. So yeah, we really piggybacked on him to really educate us on how we can be different.
It's definitely on the mellower side.
Yes.
There's Connecticut's where, like I said, we were talking. I don't know if you heard us when you were in the green room, but um, I smoked a Connecticut when I was at PCA that's made by AJ, and AJ tends to have that spicier
Hmm.
profile to their cigars. This is definitely not on the AJ side of the spectrum. This is more of a really nice breakfast cigar,
Yep.
something you want to. I love this. Would go perfect. I smoke Connecticut's usually with uh, coffee with cream in it, and this would go perfect with a cup of coffee with cream. um, it's a fantastic light cigar. Um, my first cigar was a Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne. That was like my first real cigar when you're talking about like classics. So it really has just a nice profile to it, a really nice, approachable beginner smoke, especially for somebody who doesn't really smoke cigars. And I think um, when you think about that, when you have this mobile cigar lounge, when you're going to these parties, I notice a lot when I work that you go to these places where you're not going to always get every single person's going to get a cigar, going to be a cigar smoker, right? And you're going to have these people that are going to be like, I'm going to have like the one cigar I'm ever going to have in my entire life. And it's approachable. It's not harsh. It's not going to blow out somebody's palate. I think you guys did an amazing job with this cigar.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and it's funny you said that because the 1982, I've gotten to the point now in the morning. Um, I can't have one without the other. I can't have a 1982 without a cup of coffee, or a cup of coffee without an
Hmm.
82. It's part of my day,
Nice.
especially if I know that it's going to be one of those days.
Yeah.
I'll sit out here for
Right.
an hour and just vegetate. But and
Hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up, Rob, because we believe in customers, for life. Like,
Yeah.
um, when I first started smoking cigars, it was very intimidating going into cigar lounges, right? Especially when you're sitting in there and you got a guy that's been smoking cigars for about 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
And you don't want to look dumb or ask dumb questions. And, we've always been told there's no such thing as a dumb question, but there can be. Um, but one of the things that my brother does very, very well is when he's in the lounge and we have first time smokers, um, takes time and educates the person and tells them, hey,
Hmm.
like just this past weekend, a young Navy guy came in and wanted first time smoking a cigar, and he wanted to smoke our full body, which is the Brotherhood. And my brother's like, whoa, pump the brakes. Like,
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah, it's
he's
like,
like,
hey, did you just eat a big meal? Because you better
yeah,
be ready.
yeah.
exactly.
Because I mean, I've been smoking cigars for a little while, and the Brotherhood was the first cigar that we rolled out. And I mean, I thought I was stroking out. I was sick up in that sweating, and my I started having palpitations. I had to pull over and get out and like breathe fresh air. I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying. And it's like, well, we got to come
Yeah.
up with something less than this, man, because we're gonna end up dying or something. But
That's
yeah,
usually that's funny that you say that, because usually when people are creating cigars, usually it starts the other way. You don't start with your full-bodied stick. You start with like a Connecticut to be like that entry level stick into the portfolio. That's hilarious.
yeah, and that was us being green, right? Like that was.
Hmm.
I've smoked full bodies before, but this thing, man, holy cow, it was something out of this world, and we learned quick. Let's get something else on the
Yeah.
board fast, because
Yeah.
we're not gonna please the masses. So, but yeah, so we try to really educate folks and try to make sure that they're smoking what they really need to smoke or what they really
Yeah.
want to smoke, and just try to educate them and guide them in the right direction, because we don't want to be that one hit wonder, right? We don't want them
Yeah, of
smoking one of our
course.
Yeah.
cigars that really, is a heavy cigar for them, and we'll never see them again. Or we may even turn them away from smoking
Mm,
cigars altogether, and that's something that
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't want to do.
I like how I was looking at your website earlier today, kind of getting a feel for you guys and looking at your cigars, and I like how on your website you have a cigar 101, where you have an area that is teachable area for cigars. How, like, the anatomy of a cigar, humidification of a cigar, how to keep your cigars, um, how to cut, how to light. Like, it really is, and you don't see that on a lot of websites. And I think that's an amazing thing that you can do, that you guys concentrate on, because like I
Yeah,
said, with your mobile cigar lounge, you should be all about teaching, and you should be all about the casual cigar smoker, not like, you're always going to get the hardcore smokers, but when you're going into, like you say, you're going into a wedding, and maybe you're going to get, a handful of really hardcore
right.
seasoned smokers, but most of them are going to be like, hey, I'm having a celebratory cigar. This is the first one I've ever had.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, at weddings, everybody's a cigar smoker or turns into a cigar
Mm,
smoker, right? Like they're complimentary. Let me have one. So,
yeah.
Right.
yeah, and that cigar 101, when we were coming up with our webpage, that was one of the things
Yeah.
that we were talking about. Like, hey, these are questions that, especially myself, when I first started smoking cigars, was like questions that I had that I was too embarrassed to
Yeah.
ask. So I'm like, let's beat everybody to the punch and let's just offer it on our website.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're doing here in the Panhandle, we're starting May 22nd. We're doing a ladies' night.
Oh, that's
We're
cool.
teaming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're teaming up with different
Nice.
establishments throughout Pensacola, and
Okay.
they're going to get a free cigar and a free drink pairing with the cigar, and then we're going to have education. We're going to
That's
teach
awesome.
cigar etiquette, teach them pairings, talk about the anatomy of a cigar, show them how to roll a cigar, right? Just the
That's cool.
basics, just to because there's the uh, the women in the cigar world now, the
Hmm.
numbers rising, right? So
Yeah.
For
um,
sure.
let's
Yeah.
educate them, and
Yeah.
even guys.
It's funny. I was talking to Rick Rodriguez the other day. Um, I interviewed him for my channel before I was on the podcast, and one of the things he said, women are one of the fastest growing demographics in cigars over the last 5 years. You know,
Yeah,
besides 20 to 40, besides like 20 to 40, women are the fastest growing demographic in cigars. And I think it's cool that everybody's doing this now where, they're doing like a women's cigar and bringing the women and making them feel welcome into a pretty much male dominated, you know, industry pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we have some women that come into our mobile cigar lounge and they'll go right for the Brotherhood, full body.
Yeah,
Give
they'll
it to me.
shock me sometimes. I'll be
Good
in
for
the
them.
lounge. I'll be in the
Yeah.
lounge and it's like, you think they're gonna get like the backpack? It's a sweet cigar, the cigarillos that we offer, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I want the Brotherhood. I want a real dark Maduro, strong, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm never judging a woman again because second
Right.
time they got me, it's like, damn. But a lot of the young guys I've noticed in our lounge and at our events, they first time smokers especially. It's our
Yeah.
Haze Gray cigar, so it's the sugar tip, kind of like the
Okay.
Cuba Cuba, the acid. It's basically
Nice,
like that.
nice.
Okay.
And I feel like they push more for that sweetness. A lot of guys, like a lot of young guys, first time smokers.
Yeah.
And I try, like you said, I try pushing them on the Connecticut shade. It's a good first time cigar. Starting,
Mhm.
but they're just pushing more for that sweetness. That and one thing I noticed was them asking their girl if they can buy a cigar. That's a new one to me. They ask their wife, "Hey, can I buy a cigar?" And it's like, "Oh man, really? It's just a
Yeah.
cigar."
Yeah, I usually do that only because I know my wife doesn't tolerate the smell very well sometimes.
Right,
So
right.
if we're hanging out in enclosed spaces, she's like, let's pass on the cigar right now."
Yep.
But so I think it's cool too, guys. If I haven't gotten a shot of this, if you could see, the band is actually is shaped like a dog tag. I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now that's your that's new for this year, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. We so there's a cigar lounge here in Pensacola, and the individual, he owns a tree cutting service, but then he also works at the cigar lounge, and so I showed him the cigars with our bands, and that's our baby, right? We thought, oh, these things are the coolest things ever, right? It's our cigar band, and I was like, hey, how are we going to be able to get in the shops? He goes, first thing you need to do is you need to change your band. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I said, is it okay? Is it all right? He's like, it's elementary at best. I was like, oh Lord. I was like, I mean, it hurt, right? Because we were proud of the
Yeah.
band. So him and I sat down for a good solid month, just back and forth, what we wanted with the band, and this is what we came out with. We love it. It's being that we're veteran owned and all, we wanted something to kind of brand together, come together and just be a big branding thing. And
Yeah.
it came out this year, and now we're actually revamping the band on the Patriot as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really nice that if I sat now that I'm sitting and really looking at the band, so it's got in front, it has the dog tag, and I don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up, but if you look, you can actually see it kind of right there.
Yeah.
It has like a military scene, so it has tanks. There's a soldier in there too. It's actually pretty neat, and I didn't even notice it until I just started looking at it. It's very, very well done, very subtle, but it's
Thank
it's a
you.
cool it's a cool it's a cool looking band.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. We added the rope on the edge as well
The
of the
silver
band.
roping, yeah.
Yeah. Being that, I was in the Navy and we're all about ropes and knots. Figured let's tie
Hmm.
in because it started looking a little too Army, a little too Marine. So we're like, let's add a little Navy to that. What can we do?
Okay.
And we came up with ropes.
Al,
Gotcha.
do you have any questions, Al? I
Well,
feel like
I
I'm talking forever.
no, it's all good. I am gonna have to say the construction is
Oh, perfect.
flawless.
Yeah.
Burn is so straight, and I mean, I haven't ashed once. I mean, the term stacking dimes, I mean, um, literally is really awesome. So I have to give you kudos on that. But speaking of bands, the band on the Patriot, it's a little different from the rest of you from your stuff. Do you want to kind of, and I noticed there's a canine on there also. Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So that that was all my brother. You know, our whole family are dog lovers. We all have dogs, and you know, one of the things that we wanted to support too was the service dogs.
Okay.
We're looking for a charity to team up with, and we figured, hey, if we're going to be donating to charities, we want to find one that you know works with service dogs and military service dogs that have been out on the front lines, right? Because they're impacted by that scene. So he came out and said, hey, let's do something with like maybe a dog handler. And he just started researching online and looking for different logos, and that's where it came from. And originally, really, the name of the company was War Dogs, was because of we wanted to support the dogs as well.
Interesting.
And things happen, and we had to make a quick audible and change, and here we are.
Nice.
That's cool.
So actually, I may be having a wedding. I have a son who's graduating college here soon. How far do you guys travel?
We tend to stay about 3 hours with the trailer.
Gotcha.
Now, if it was just me rolling, I mean, we're getting ready to go to Jacksonville. I got old Navy buddies down in Tampa, which is 6-7 hours away, that want me to come down. So I'll drive a little bit further than what the trailer would go.
Gotcha. All right, that's good information to have. I appreciate that.
And I don't know. I mean, myself being an LSU fan, I don't know if I'd be able to survive up there in Mississippi.
Well, I'm at the tip of the sip. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. So I bleed blue. Um, I'm a Tiger for life. So those rebels and bulldogs can they're a good third and fourth down the line.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, but it's really funny here because um, the Ole Miss people hate the state people, and the state people hate everybody. So, you know, it's really funny.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was
So,
a DoD firefighter up in Meridian, Mississippi, up there at the base, and
okay,
it was my first introduction really to like a college rivalry, and guys that were at the station that were state fans and Ole Miss fans. I was like, man, these guys. I thought Alabama and Auburn were bad. Holy cow!
yes,
You guys take that
yes.
whole new level. So, you know,
I know of couples that got divorced over the Egg Bowl. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy. So
so go ahead.
so Rue, tell us a little bit about your time in the service. You said you were in the Navy.
yeah, yeah, sure. Well, yeah. So I joined in '96.
Hmm.
Started out in Great Lakes. Then I went out to the East Coast, out in Norfolk, Virginia. I was on a
Okay.
gator called the USS Kearsarge. And
Hmm.
when I joined the Navy, I took the ASVAB, but it was like, what do I want to do? And I forget, I was sitting in the recruiter's office, and there was a picture of a firefighter. And before I joined the Navy, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a firefighter. And
Okay.
we have a Coast Guard station. It used to be an old Air Force base. They had DOD out there, and I went out and talked to them one day, and they said, look, best thing you can do to get into here, go into the military, become a firefighter in the military, get your qualifications, get out, and then you can be a DOD firefighter. So I figured, okay, that's what I'll do. So decided to be a crash crewman. So I was a firefighter on the flight deck, and great
Nice.
experience. Yeah, I was on the ship for 4 years. Got to just travel and see the world, they say, and I did. I got to see some great ports. Got to smoke some pretty cool cigars over there, and
Yeah.
then came home, and I figured, 4 years, let me do shore duty. I owe it to myself, and I came back and left the ship and came to Whiting Field down here in Milton, Florida, and I was like beside myself, like, man, what did I do? Like, this is like Mayberry, and I was thinking, I'm going to Florida. I'm looking at like pink flamingos and Maseratis and Miami Vice type stuff,
Right.
There you
And
go.
I get out here, it's nothing but pine trees, and yeah, I'm like, oh God, what did I do? and then ended up in like Foley, Alabama, which is just as small. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God. And so I was a firefighter with the Navy here on shore duty for about 3.5, almost 4 years. I was
Yeah.
here during 9/11. And then right when the war kicked off, it was, they held me back for a little bit because the war had started. So even though I was getting out, they were like, well, we're going to have to pump the brakes on you getting out. My youngest daughter was just born. And
Okay.
so I was like, well, once the Navy said, okay, yeah, you can either stay or get out, I was just like, I'll get out. And planted roots here in Pensacola. It's the Redneck Riviera.
Did you see any
Absolutely.
any action or no?
We were in theater in Sierra Leone when we were
Okay.
evacuating the embassy down there, and then
Hmm.
I was in Kosovo for a little while.
Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty stressful. I mean, we were out to sea. Both cruises were out to sea for like 60 days straight without seeing land, and
Yeah.
it starts weighing on you,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it.
My grandfather was Navy, World War II, and so he had a real interesting job, and he had actually a little bit of history attached to his deployment. And so he was, like I said, Navy during World War II. He worked aboard a seaplane tender, and he was a gunner's mate third class. So what he would do is he would fire off the deck guns and all that stuff. He had 75% hearing loss in one ear, 85% hearing loss in the other ear, because
Wow.
they don't have the ear protection that they had,
Yeah.
today back then. And it was interesting. So my grandmother tells me a story that he was on the first wave of soldiers aboard the island of Tinian. And if like if you're a student of history, I did a lot of studying on it, and he was one of the first waves of soldiers aboard with the Seabees, clearing the island that the bombers took off from to go drop the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
his unit was actually an experimental unit. They were the first they were the first unit. I think she told me they were the first unit to be experimenting with radar, where they would take these big giant backpacks with them, and they would have these mobile radar screens that they would carry with them.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's interesting, man.
What about you, Pedro? Do you have any
Um,
experience?
nope, I wasn't in the service. I
Okay.
was a blue collar worker my whole life. I did asphalt paving for about almost 20 years, and
Hmm.
I just got sick of it. Obviously I'm getting older, and I'm like, this ain't for me. And that's when I told him I'm selling the house. I'm getting out of there. I don't like
Yeah.
Massachusetts anymore. I'm all about the palm trees, and it was just basically doing the cigar thing with my brother. I was so intrigued by it, and just the construction of cigars and
Yeah.
blends and there's so much to it that it just intrigued me. And seeing my brother, like when I first got into it with him
Yeah.
rolling, and there's so much info to
Yeah.
process.
It really is truly an art form,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
say
exactly.
anybody who says like, cigars are so boring, it's just dead
No,
plants rolled up. I'm like, it's like,
Wrong.
but it's wrong.
yeah,
It's literally an art form where people study for decades to
yeah,
learn how to roll some of the best cigars,
yeah. And that's one thing I wanted. Like me and my brother have been talking. Like in our next cigar line, it'd be nice, because we're from Portugal and we
Okay,
want to
cool.
start grabbing leaves maybe from Portugal, create a blend from there, maybe Spain, somewhere in that area, just to do something different,
Yeah.
and that's been
No,
in the talks. It'd be cool to
it's
do.
it's interesting because you see more and more people nowadays. Um, the market has become so saturated with the same stuff. I love when somebody comes out with something new and interesting, like, oh, you're going to use tobacco grown where?
Yeah,
You're like tobacco from Colombia, tobacco from, Macedonia.
yeah,
It's just
Right.
these little countries, Transylvania.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's fantastic to see these rollers getting their hands on this tobacco because, you know, yeah, you're gonna have say you're gonna have a Habano leaf, you know, come out of Portugal. You're like, okay, and it's not going to grow the same. It's not going to taste the same as a Habano leaf that's grown in, say, the Dominican Republic. You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
it's
Mhm.
all about the weather and the soil and the air and the water that it gets watered with and the minerals that that contains. It's like
Yep.
honestly, it's like it's pretty neat to think of
Mhm.
how um things like that will just change the same leaf from one taste to another.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that we did as a company, we joined an organization called the TPA. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, um,
Hmm.
but
The
the
total,
TPA,
yeah,
yeah, the TPA is actually made it more. Um, I guess you, there's a bigger possibility of us being able to go to other countries and get tobacco from other countries simply because there's knowledge in that organization that can guide us and coach us and show us how to be
hmm,
able to do that, right? So it's really tapping into the resources that are out there now.
yeah,
We're finding that there's a greater chance of us being able to do what you're saying, Rob, which is going into another country and getting a Habano leaf, but man, it might taste 100% totally opposite of what you think a Habano
yeah,
leaf would taste like coming
Yep.
from the
of
Dominican.
course,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's exciting.
yeah. And I say on this show all the time that I love the boutique brands because you guys can get your hands on things. You don't need like 6,000 pallets of tobacco. You need like one pallet of tobacco,
Hmm.
and you can get those interesting aged, weird country tobaccos that, somebody like Fuente, somebody like Padron, somebody like Perdomo can't really get because there's just not enough of it.
Yep.
When you need, when you need like a Polone, to put your run out where, Fuente needs, 10,000 pounds, you guys need less than 1,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's one thing. Like me and my brother doing a lot of these events. It's obviously a learning process, right? With our inventory, you got to keep that inventory stocked all the time, and
Hmm.
that's one of the challenges, that you definitely go through starting a business, right?
Yeah.
Are people going to come back? Are they going to like this product? I mean, we love it. People say it's great, so you want these people to come back, and that's one thing that makes me feel great is these people coming back, like
Yeah.
coming back for more and ordering online and reaching out to us, and going to our events just to smoke a cigar with us and hang out, learn about cigars. It's just a great community. And that's what intrigued me in the cigars so much is that, you don't really meet too many bad people in the cigar community. At least I haven't yet. And
No.
and everybody's willing to learn, especially the new
Yeah.
guys.
Right.
I told them at the events this weekend, hey, you got any questions? Reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You got a question, we'll try to respond to you as quick as we can, just to help them out. Any questions at all? Don't feel like it's a dumb question. And that's what makes me feel good is helping people out in that aspect with cigars. Like teaching
Yeah.
them, don't inhale. Oh, but I smoke cigarettes. It's so hard not to inhale. Yeah, well, you'll find out.
You'll find out real quick.
Yeah,
You'll
That's
find
for
out real
sure.
quick.
And one of the things you guys touched on is, and that's something I've said in the past, these cigars, they're handmade products. There's going to be variation from even within in the line. It shouldn't be a big variation, but
right.
um, you know, I feel like we should respect all of the hands that the tobacco leaves have passed through, the rollers. There's a lot of work that goes into these, and they should really be appreciated for the art that they are, and not just like Rob said, some these dead leaves that were.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and it's a stress reliever. It's a meditation. It's after a hard week, you sit down with, say, a brotherhood and pour you a two-finger pour of your favorite bourbon or whiskey, and it just seems you can just you have to cut out that moment in time to just stop, kind of let all your worries kind of go away and focus on the experience of the cigar. Um, and I really appreciate you guys and what you're doing over there, because typically I'm not a big fan of lighter cigars anymore. I tend to gravitate toward darker cigars, the Habanos, the Maduros, and I did have the 1982 about a month ago or so, and even spoke about it on What's in the Ashtray here. And it was one of those Connecticut's that really stands out from the average, the average light cigar. Um, it doesn't punch you in the face, but it's still interesting and you can still pull those flavors out. It's just not like hot air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, appreciate it.
So, and now did you say that you started in April of last year is when you launched?
Yep, April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, well, happy anniversary. A
Thank
little
you.
late,
Thank you.
but man, you guys have the backpack and I mean, you guys have a nice portfolio. Um, is there anything big on the horizon for you guys? Anything new that you're pushing for or working towards?
Besides starting to work on that next blend for our second line, one of the things that I've really picked up on in the last, I'd say about year and a half, 2 years, is pipe smoking.
Mm.
Smoking good pipe tobacco, and we had an older gentleman that came in this weekend and asking us if we had pipe tobacco, and that's something that I'm starting to kind of take time and learning and
Interesting. Okay.
blending pipe tobacco. So that's a
Nice.
project that we have on the horizon. But right now, I think it's just a matter of us, one, pushing our brand, getting our name out there, and then two, working on that next blend for our second line.
Gotcha, gotcha. Do you have a name for that second line, or are you trying to
Well,
keep that under wraps?
no, we learned our lesson with trademarking. We
Understandable,
learned our lesson,
understandable.
and we got some names on the chalkboard right now, but we're trying to do as much research as we can before we release it. And then next thing you know, we got somebody knocking at our door serving papers. So
Right.
we've got a good list. But one of the things that our second line is going to, especially with us trying to go into other countries and getting other tobacco, is we want to go back to our roots. There's a lot of cool history that comes out of Portugal. A lot of cool
Mm.
history that comes out of New England. That I think we're going to incorporate into our second line with some of the
That's cool.
names and things of that nature. Tobaccos from
Nice.
those regions.
Nice, nice. Well, be sure to keep us in the loop because we want to make sure we get the information out there and support you guys any way we can.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
also
we
too, you've got a pretty awesome line of swag, from the hats to the cutters to the cups, uh, to the flasks. Not
Mm.
many people are doing flasks these days, so um, I believe I put in a post the other day. It's everything you need for a good time.
Mm.
yeah,
Start with the
that's it.
stick and
Exactly.
move from there.
That's
Mhm.
it. And the
So,
funny thing is the flask. That was so far from the furthest thing from our mind, and we have a cigar holder. It's a 3 cigar holder. Nothing crazy. Comes with a
mhm.
cutter, and we were working a Bloody Mary festival, and this woman comes up. She goes, "Look, baby, it's a flask." And I walked over. I said, "It's a cigar holder, but I'm glad you said a flask because now you just gave us an idea for our
There you
next,
go.
merchandise." And she's like, "Well, I want royalties. I want royalties." But it's
Just sure, just leave your information over there with our information.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But I mean, it was like, yeah, that's a pretty cool idea to have a flask. I mean, bourbon goes well with our cigars, so and a lot of other cigars. So why not get a flask going? And it was a hit this weekend.
And
Most
and that's the one
definitely.
and that's the one thing about merch. It obviously adds up, right? So it's
Yeah.
us trying to figure out, the quantities, what to get, wholesale price and all that stuff. It all comes into play. And
Right.
we have a woman here locally that does a lot of stuff for us, and we try to keep it local as much as we can. And
Yeah.
she's amazing. I mean, she does our hats, the flasks, the cigar holders. I mean, she's getting into newer things, in the cigar world that she can come up with. So it's been real good working with her as far as our merch goes as well.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's see.
Yeah, we have the end of May, we have Pensacola Cigar Weekend. And she's actually setting up a booth there. There's going to be a bunch of small to medium brands showcasing their cigars, and it's going to be a whole weekend of festivities. And she started getting really into the whole cigar merch that we asked her to make, and now she's setting up a booth and she's going to be showing off her stuff. So it's pretty cool how everything comes around full circle.
Absolutely. Well, and you guys touched on it earlier, but it truly is a community. That's even here within the podcast or cigar podcast community. We have uh, we are in a cigar group with the guys over at the Real Smoke podcast.
Yep.
And we've got some really good friends over at the Smoke and Sounds podcast that we talk with quite a bit.
Mhm.
So that's probably one of the things that I've discovered in my journey that's been a pleasant surprise. Because one of the biggest things I was worried about on the front end was rolling into a lounge, sitting down, having somebody talk about, why are you smoking that, this and that, and just being rude or not being very friendly. And
Right.
luckily, I've never had that experience.
Yeah, no, it's great. And we tend to sit here in my patio and smoke a cigar, and there's about 4 or 5 podcasts, y'all's included, that we watch. And it's funny because we'll sit there and the topic will come up, and we'll look at each other and be like, man, we made the right decision. Whew. We're like trying to like second guessing
Yeah.
ourselves. And then you hear other brands that went through the same thing, or they've overcome an obstacle that we've just came over, and like, did we do the right thing? And then when you hear other brands doing the same thing, we're like, whoo, thank God,
Mm.
we're going down the
Yeah.
right path. We're doing all right, So you guys keep doing what you guys are doing, and the other podcasts too, because it really helps brands like us out quite a bit.
100%.
Well, we
Well, and
appreciate you guys for putting out quality product.
that's
Thank
for
you.
sure. And that's one of the reasons why Rob and I talked and started this, was just to share our love of the leaf and the information. And we are both big fans of boutique brands, and we do want to support American products as much as we can, because that's something that's near and dear to our heart.
Yep.
And then
Absolutely.
if we can support the military community, first responder community, that's just a bonus.
Yeah, we appreciate it for sure.
Let's see. All right. And lastly, what is your ultimate goal for Haze Gray Cigar Company? Is there anything major you're working towards, or are you guys just playing it by ear and going with the flow?
It's funny because him and I have different goals, and it's but at the end of the day, we try to agree on everything. It's tough. We're brothers. There's always a rivalry here. We're always trying to see when we split up who makes the most sales, and it's just brotherly love type thing. I'm more of a talker. He's more of a sales, the sales guy that pushes the sales. So
I make more sales than him all the time.
But well, I know one of my goals at the end of the day is I'd love to have my own brick and mortar. That's, of course, it'll be a few years down the road. Maybe when I'm tired of being on the road and hitting that windshield all the time and going to see different retail shops. it's it might be something that we go down. Of course, he sees it a different way, but I think one of our main goals right now is really to start getting out into those retail shops, those smoking lounges, and it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort, hitting the pavement, hitting the streets, and getting our name and brand out there.
Yep. So at the moment, do you have more than one trailer that you go? Do you have multiples, or is it just the one?
No, we just have that one. But we're already starting to see, I think we're overgrowing, just that trailer that we have now. So we're looking at possibly getting something bigger. And, the lounge that we have now won't go away. We'll just have two,
Right.
It's just, we were not expecting it to grow as quickly as it has. I mean, people come in, even people that don't smoke cigars, but just want to come and sit in the lounge just to check it out, and then you got cigar smokers that have to wait to get in. So we're definitely outgrowing it. So that's something else that we're looking at doing, is getting another lounge.
Gotcha. And well, and two, do you want to talk about the Haze Gray Vixens at all?
We get that question all the time. Yeah, we Valerie, who does all our marketing, she came up with the idea of the Haze Gray Vixens and has really taken off running with it. It's because, again, like we said earlier, right, the growing number in cigar smokers are women, and we figured, why not have a Haze Gray Vixen line, and and have them kind of connect with the female smokers out there, whether you're a beginning or whether you're aficionado, and bringing the Sisters of the Leaf together. So it's that's where they're coming from. They just worked a golf tournament Friday. Friday, it was a hit. Guys loved it. They were going out there selling cigars, and they're educated on cigars, and so it makes it that much easier and that much sexier. I think a woman that knows about cigars, like he said earlier in the month on another podcast, it's sexy, and it really is. So, but yeah, that's where the Vixens came from.
Nice. Well, do you want to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you if they wanted to book you for an event down in the Pensacola or surrounding areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check us out on wardogsbc.com. So it's B for Bravo, C for Charlie. That's our website. They can check us out on Instagram, which is Haze_Gray_Cigars. Those are probably the two best ways of getting a hold of us.
Nice. Rob, have you got anything else you're curious about?
No, I think we're good. I'm just sitting here enjoying my cigar for the rest of the night. So
Nice.
Yes, that's for sure. And well, we just appreciate you guys coming on with us, hanging out, giving us your story, and hopefully we can get the word out and help with some of that growth.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Well, have you got any closing thoughts or anything you want to let everybody know or leave everybody with?
Yeah, no, we really.
No, you guys go ahead. You're the
No,
guest.
go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
You get first shot. You're good.
Oh, you want to sit back and enjoy that cigar a little bit more. I get it. No, we just really appreciate the opportunity. We've been looking forward to this date. We've had it circled in our calendar for a while, and we were stoked all weekend just knowing that we were going to be on here with you guys. We've been watching your show from day one, so keep up the great work. And one of the other things we want to kind of throw a plug out there is to the TPA.rocks. It's a great organization, something that we are super pumped that as a company we joined. We regret that we didn't join earlier, but
anybody can join.
And anybody can join.
Yeah.
Even consumers,
Media,
right? Media, social media, anybody that wants to learn more about the leaf and the industry, they're more than welcome to join. So it's been a really great treat to be a part of that organization.
Wonderful, wonderful. What you got, Rob?
Uh, Not much. I'm just, I'm excited to be able to sit and talk to everybody about PCA. So PCA was a trip. Um, hopefully we'll see you guys there soon. We'd love to see you in a little booth at PCA. Um, you'll see hopefully both of us there next year. But yeah, so stay tuned. We're gonna be coming out with a PCA recap show, everything I tasted, everything I learned. Um,
Nice.
yeah, that's pretty much what I got.
Yeah, looking
Well,
forward to that.
for sure. And I hope everybody wins the battles that you tell nobody about. Um, Smoke, Haze Gray, War Dog Cigars. They've got your sticks. So, but guys, we just appreciate you and uh, cutting out, carving out a little time to sit and smoke with us. And if you want to hang out for just a second after we get closed out and might chat a little more.
Absolutely.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
looking forward to it.
Yep.
All right. Well, from the Lounge Life, I'm Al. Over there, that's Rob. Down there, that's Rue and Pedro. Always live the lounge life.
See you guys next time.